This is ridiculous. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm done. Here at GCN, we've been on a quest to find the steepest road in the world. A quest which has taken us to Harlech in Wales and Bamford Clough in England. But now, rumours are circulating of an even steeper climb than that here in Sud Tirol, Italy. This climb is rumoured to be 43%. So naturally, I've been sent here to try and ride it. I'm not even sure it's possible. Our camera motorbike can't even get up this. I'm not lunging for you in Lycra. This is just how I have to stand because the road is that steep. Now, being in Italy, this road has a very Italian name, one which I don't want to murder the pronunciation of, so I've asked Alan from GCN Italia to tell us what it's called.
Salita Scanupia.
Salita Scanupia. Nailed it. Alan reliably informs me that salita means climb. Anyway, this climb was built in the 16th century. The ascent is 7.5 kilometres, and over this distance the elevation gain is 1,317 metres, with an average gradient of 17.6%, with a rumoured max of 42.8. If these rumours are true, I'm feeling pretty nervous. I'm not sure I can make it up this climb. Well, fortunately, it's not my first rodeo. I made the mistake of underestimating the 36.5% Bamford Clough and bringing a standard bike fitted with standard gears. It was totally inadequate. However, it's only a mistake if you make it twice, and that's why I've brought a tool that's much better suited to the job this time. This is the bike I'm going to use. It's an open-up frame fitted with Campagnolo's highly versatile Ekar group set and their Levante gravel wheels.
The hell? That looks like a gravel bike. Gravel bikes are way heavier than road bikes.
Hold your horses, keyboard warriors. Yes, it is a gravel bike, and yes, that means it is slightly heavier than a road bike. But I've learnt a thing or two while trying to ride up hideously steep gradients, and that is that traction and gearing are more important. And so to that end, I've got an easiest gear of a 38-42, which is way easier than what I'd get on a road bike if my easiest gear was a 34-34. In addition, the Campagnolo Levante wheels have a wider rim than standard road wheels, and that coupled with the extra clearance on the open-up frame means I can run some big chunky boy Pirelli gravel tyres to give me extra traction. These are actually 45mm. There's plenty of clearance at the front. I'm right up to the limit of what you can fit in the rear, and if I was riding on gravel, then I wouldn't run tyres this big because they'd rub against the frame and you want a bit of clearance. But on tarmac, concrete, this will be good. Running this big tyre at the back with low pressure will really help me maintain traction, which is going to be crucial on something that gets even steeper than what we're on now, because if I'm riding seated to maintain traction, I'll be popping wheelies. I can't do wheelies, so it means I can get out the saddle, hopefully, and still maintain traction. Whew. I'm thinking about it. Traction on the rear wheel's really important, but on the front one, not so much. So I might save some weight there and swap out this big chunky boy for a nice light Campagnolo road wheel. I've come down to the bottom and swapped out my front wheel and made this kind of like Frankenbike thing. Hopefully my tech experiment pays off. I'm gonna set off now because this is apparently 7 kilometers long. Let us know in the comments section, keyboard warriors, if you think I'm gonna make it up. Whew. Wish me luck. Right. Already in my easiest gear. Right, this is the beginning slopes. It's already sort of 17%. And I'm just trying to take it as easy as possible so that I can conserve as much energy as possible for when it starts to really, really ramp up. It's just like Bamford Clough, this bit, sort of 20% sustained, except it's really hot. And the road's like concrete. It's really rough, but that does help you have grip. This is ridiculous. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm done. My back is in bits. This is the steepest I've ever done. And this steepest bit comes after about 2 kilometers of like 20%, 30%, and then you hit this wall of like 40. Oh God. Yeah. I'm done. This is the hardest climb I've ever done. The 45% back there, it's absolutely ruined me. This is like a 30% section. I think like the only tech that could get me up this climb, or any of the GCM presenters, is an e-bike. Because this is something else. I'm absolutely toast. So we're about 4 kilometers up the mountain, and it's been like Bamford Clough, like the whole way, and bits that are steeper. The Bamford Clough is 500 meters long, and we're 4.5 kilometers up this. Like, this is the hardest climb in the world until we find one even harder. But at the moment, we haven't conquered this one yet. I'm pushing, but to be honest, it just keeps going on, and I'm not feeling kind of like embarrassed or like, you know, like my ego's dented, because like this climb is utterly ridiculous. I don't think Feather could make it up. Hand on heart, I don't think Feather could make it up. And he's insane. Can't speak. It just never ends. It's like, it's like hell. Because it's so hot as well. It's like 25 degrees and you're in the sun. Right. See if I can just get going on this next bit again. I think we're past the worst of it, but it's mental. Like, this bit is like 17%, but I can stay seated and it feels so much easier. Like, it feels manageable compared to the sort of 20, 30, 40 that's preceded it. I think we're over halfway, but the distance isn't accurate now because I've been going so slowly. It keeps pausing all the time, even when I'm still moving. I'm just too slow. That's embarrassing. The last 2.5K of the climb turns to this gravel, which is kind of justifying my gravel bike choice. And it's ridiculous. I mean, this is saying it's 10% gradient on my computer, on my Wahoo, but it feels easy. It's crazy how your perceptions change. Oh, this is it. I'm at the top of the steepest climb in the world. Oh. And I'm not the only casualty, as well, I've dropped the cameraman, who's so steep, he claimed our poor camera operator. And Hank was here helping film the video as well. Well, he's another casualty on the mountain somewhere, so that's why I'm filming this on my phone. I'm going to go down now. Oh man, coming down it's hard work. That is, without doubt, the hardest climb I have ever attempted. I mean, if there's anything harder than that, I don't believe you. and I don't think I want to ride it. So, I mean, admittedly, I did have to get off and push a couple of times, but I did manage to get back on, and I did manage to make it to the top. And although I wasn't able to pedal the entire way, I wouldn't have been able to do as well as I did on this climb were it not for, you know, the gearing that I had and also the extra traction from the tyres. That was so important. But well, if you've enjoyed this video and you would like to see Andrew Feather have a go at this, then give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If this video gets 10,000 thumbs up, we will bring Andrew Feather here and get him to take it on. I'm back at the hardest climb in the world, and this time I've brought the world's best climber. That's right, GCN's very own Stig/Twig and #1 ranked climber on Strava, Andrew Feather. With sustained gradients over 40%, this climb, the Scanupia in Trento, Italy, is pure torture. And if multiple hill climb champion Andrew Feather can't make it up this, then, well, there's no hope for the rest of humanity. Right, to the top. Yep, we are back at the Scanupia, but for those of you who didn't see the last video, I came here and tried to ride up it and said if the video gets 10,000 likes, we'd come back here with Feather. Well, you guys liked the video, and so here we are, back at the foot of this 7-kilometer wall with sustained sections as steep as 40%. Is killer. Feather may be one of the best natural-born climbers on the planet, but this climb is so ridiculously hard, I'm not convinced he's going to be able to make it up. So before I set him off, I'm so glad it's him and not me. Before I set him off, let me show you the special bike that he's going to be attempting it on. To ride up gradients this horrifically steep demands a lot of your equipment. Fortunately, Campagnolo and Pinarello have helped us out with some pretty special kit. So, I mean, just check out this, absolute stunner. The primary things you need from a bike to do this are super wide tyres, so you have plenty of traction and grip, and then also big, easy gears. The secondary things are for the bike to be stiff because you're dealing with quite high torque loads and just as light as possible. So we've opted for the Pinarello Gravel F, which is Pinarello's high performance gravel bike. It's essentially the off-road gravel version of the Dogma F road bike. Its aero features like the fork flap and the special shaped tubes aren't coming into play here today, but other things are. It's got loads of tyre clearance, up to 50mm wide tyres. We've got 45s fitted. Also, the stack height is slightly higher on this bike compared to the road frame, which means you're a bit more upright, which is nice for when you're climbing. And you've got a slightly longer geometry, which makes the bike a bit more stable, with a bigger fork rake, so you've got more front centre. And when you're weaving up the super steep parts of the climb, having that extra front centre means you're less likely to catch the front wheel on the front of your foot when you're pedalling around. It really does make the bike feel much nicer. We've paired the frame with Campagnolo Levante wheels, which tick all the boxes of what we need here today. So they're 25mm internal width, which is ideal for our wide tyre needs. They sit really nice. They're tubeless as well, which means we can run those tyres at lower pressure, which means added grip. You've also got no rim tape in the designs. They're just really nicely made, so no rim tape required. Helps keep the weight down. You've got 24 spokes, front and rear, in a 2-cross lacing pattern, which helps make the wheels really stiff, but they're still light, just 1,485 grams a pair, which is only a touch heavier than like the road wheels. But I know what you're here for. You want to hear the free up sound check. Cup and cone bearings in these bad boys. Oh, smooth. Love those cup and cones. We've also got Campagnolo's e-car gravel group set on here, so we can fit much easier gears than you can on a road bike. So we've got a 38-tooth chainring at the front and a 44-tooth big ring at the back, which is actually considerably easier gearing than I had. I had a 40 at the front and a 42 at the back. So if Feather makes it up today, that's why. It's not because he's better than me, it's because he had easier gearing. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is it. We're at the bottom. Feather, it's time for your date with Destiny. How are you feeling?
I think it's going to be hard.
I think it is as well. Think you're going to make it up?
I'm not sure, to be honest. We'll give it our best shot.
Brilliant. Right. Well, I'll count you in, and then you can go.
Okay.
Right. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, by the way, if you do make it to the top, there's some fantastic gravel trails. This will be absolutely perfect. You'll have a great time.
Excellent.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go! Woo! Oh, he's gonna die.
Feels all right. This is not too bad. Oh, straight into it. Whew.
For those of you who didn't see our first video, this climb is 7 kilometers long with an average gradient of 18%. However, that is very deceptive. There is a crazy section of 3 kilometers which averages 22% and features pitches of 45. We've even measured 48 on the inside of some of the corners. It really is the hardest paved climb we've ever come across. And Feather is flying, although he's no idea how ridiculous it gets around the next corner.
Oh my God, this is ridiculous. So hard. Oh, another hairpin. Actually, this is the last hairpin I want to see. Oh. Jesus, so hard. How far? Nice traction with the tyres. Just under 1,000 metres elevation. 39 minutes on the clock. Oh, that was by far the hardest climb I've ever done. That middle section was just, I didn't put my feet down, but I was so close to another 100 metres and I would have been off. Yeah, just relentless. I mean, it just went on and on and on at about 30%. Even more than, it's peaking out at probably, I saw 44% on my Wahoo, and I've never seen that before. It was just incredibly steep and just relentless. And it was probably harder by the fact that it was just so hot today. I certainly wouldn't have got up here on my ordinary road bike. So, I think it's probably time to head down and see Ollie and let him know how we've done.
There he is. Oh, how was that?
Absolutely savage.
Did you make it to the top without putting your foot down?
I did, yeah.
No way.
I did, yeah.
No way.
No, I was really pleased. It was absolutely brutal. By far the hardest climb I've ever ridden. It was just relentless all the way up. It was just so steep.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, and it's clear that with an ordinary bike I wouldn't have been able to do it. So yeah, I think the gears really helped. On those steep bits, which were around 45% on the apex of the bends, it was just horrible. I was another 100 meters. I think I would have started walking.
I can't believe. I mean, hats off to you. Fair one. That's ridiculous. You made me look rubbish as well. But the only reason you could do it is because you had easier gears on than me. Otherwise, I would have done it. Well, there you have it. Feather says it's the hardest climb he's ever done. It's the hardest we've ever found. But if you know something harder, then let us know in the comments section, because we will come and we will have a go at riding it. But this is definitely the hardest thing we've found. And I've just checked online and, Feather's, he's only going to got the KOM, hasn't he? Of course he has. But like last time we said if we got 10,000 likes we'd bring Feather, we did that. Right, we're going to up the stakes. If we get 100,000 likes on this one, then we'll try and bring Dan Lloyd down. Get Dan Lloyd to ride. He's past his best, so he really doesn't want to do it. So we need a lot of likes. But I hope you've enjoyed this vid. Thumbs up and love you. Bye. Pro cycling is hard, very hard. Pro riders cycle up mountains at astonishing speeds, and it was witnessing what these remarkable human beings can do that actually inspired me to try and ride up mountains myself. However, not all mountains are created equal. There's one particular mountain that strikes fear even into the pros. The Monte Zoncolan, a climb so tough it's regarded by many as the hardest in all of pro cycling. Well, we're here, we're going to ride it, we're going to find out how tough it is and how it compares to the others. I'm pretty nervous. We need some action.
You need the action? Are you sure, man?
Yeah.
No, I give you the action. Ah!
To give you some context, the Zoncolan isn't the steepest or the hardest climb in the world. Roads like the terrifying 45% Scanupia we've visited before are tougher, but roads like that are considered too steep and too dangerous for a pro bike race. There are actually 3 possible ascents up the Zoncolan, but we're focusing on the toughest ascent and the one most used in the Giro. It begins in Avaro. Zoncolan is all about the gradient. It's 9.9 kilometers long and gains 1,157 meters with an average gradient of 11.8%. within pro racing, there are 3 climbs vying for the title of the hardest. The Angliru in Spain, the Mortirolo in the Italian Alps, and this, the Monte Zoncolan. Now, I've ridden the other 2 before, but today I'm going to take on the Zoncolan and complete the set with my friend Alain Marangoni.
Ciao a tutti. Are you ready?
In addition to being the most Italian man in the world, Alain has also ridden the Monte Zoncolan in the Giro d'Italia. So, well, he's the ideal person to check it out with. And today we're going to complete the set of the horrific trinity to, in a bid, find out once and for all which one is the hardest.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Dai.
Setting out from Avaro, the first 2 kilometres hit you straight away. I mean, the average gradient on the Wahoo's been 10-11% the whole way until we've got to this point, which is a small village before you start the climb proper. Now, it may surprise a lot of people that the Zoncolan is only a recent addition in the Giro d'Italia. The Giro started in 1909, but the Zoncolan was first used as soon as 2003. And that was, well, I remember Gilberto Simoni took an iconic victory, although it was on the other side, the slightly easier ascent. Subsequent editions of the Giro have used the side we're doing today up from Avaro. The climb's really picked up now, like 13%. But the record for this climb is, well, we think, Gilberto Simoni with a time of 39 minutes and 3 seconds.
Yeah, in 2007 he did the best performance in this climb, and if you think how it's hard because we are doing this climb and we are so in trouble.
We're just trying to get up.
If you think about Gilberto Simoni, you realize that is an amazing performance.
Yeah, and there's other times that people refer to. So the fastest time on Strava is actually held by Thibaut Pinot, and it's 35 minutes. But that doesn't include that segment, the first 2 kilometers at 11%, which we did just before you get to that village. It starts after that. So for our money, Simoni's time, we reckon that is actually the fastest, even though it's not on Strava. Oh.
Mamma mia, Olli.
Oh, 15% here.
Siamo già piantati.
330 watts, just to keep going.
Siamo già piantati, Olli.
Really into the thick of it now. 16% is pretty sustained along this section. And you'll see, like, there's a bit of a gap between me and Alain, and it doesn't look like much of a gap,
Olli!
but like,
Slow down!
but this kind of gap is what we see in the pro racing on the Zoncolan. You know, you think back to 2011 when Contador was having an epic battle with Nibali, and you know, seemingly just like 10 meters up the road with Igor Anton, and you know, that gap looks so bridgeable, and it would be on any other climb, but the Zoncolan, like a 10-meter gap, that is agony to try and cross that. This climb is brutal. Alain, you've ridden the Zoncolan in the Giro d'Italia on more than one occasion. What's it like riding this in the race?
So I did it in 2010, 11 and 14, and when I did it in a race in a gruppetto.
Yeah.
So we drop immediately from the head of the race, and we went up very slow, but we had the help of the supporters.
Right.
Because this climb during Giro d'Italia is full of supporters everywhere along the road. And when a supporter see you in trouble,
Yeah.
or suffering, they start to push you. And at the end you received a lot of pushing.
Yeah.
So it's less worse than to do alone.
Yeah.
Today for sure I suffer more, much more.
No push.
Yeah, because nobody pushed me.
Ah. The subject of gearing is really interesting because the reason why the likes of Copy and Merckx never had races up here was because back then they wouldn't have made it because the gearing was too big. You need easy gears, even if you're Eddie Merckx, to get up something like this. Well, Froome, he used a 34-32, which, a lot of pros 10, 20 years ago, it would have been unthinkable that you could use such easy gears in a pro bike race. But for a rider of Froome's caliber, using such easy gears just tells you everything you need to know about this climb and how hard it is. So we have 3 kilometers to go, and there's a nice little reprieve section there. That is a much welcome rest. The crazy thing is that went to 5%, but 5% gradient, it feels flat after what's just gone before it. It's just crazy how it warps your perceptions. So,
And before, thank you because you waited for me, because I was in trouble in the gruppetto with myself.
with all your friends.
In a bunch during the Giro d'Italia to the France, when you start to suffer and the climb start to get hard,
Yeah.
someone start to shout, "Gruppetto!
Was that you?
Gruppetto!" Many times. And you hope that someone drop with you.
Yeah. I mean, you've raced the other big two in Grand Tours, the Mortirolo and the Angliru. How does this compare to them for you?
I think Angliru is at the same level. Maybe little bit worse because you are in an open space. You get much more wind.
Yeah.
Here you are covered from the wind.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a little bit less hard for this reason. But about the gradient, we are at the same level.
What about the Mortirolo?
Mortirolo is a very hard climb, but you can find the hairpin. In the hairpins, you can breathe a little bit.
You get a little kick out of them.
Exactly.
A little rest.
Exactly.
And yeah, I know what you mean. I think the other big thing for the Mortirolo is, within the context of a race situation, it's never been used as a summit finish. And so, you might have to ride this or the Angliru harder because you're either racing for the win or you're just racing in the gruppetto to make time cut. We just reached the tunnels. This marks the 1 kilometer to go mark, the Flamme Rouge.
Ollie, now it's time to do a show. To do a kind of race, no?
We're into the last 600 meters. I think this is where Roglic attacks. We need some action.
You need action? Are you sure, man?
Yeah,
No, I give you the action. Ah! I did a big effort.
You did?
Yeah, full gas.
Right, so the Monte Zoncolan. Now, I'm having done all three now. As an amateur, my perspective is that the Angliru is the hardest. So,
Okay.
Mortirolo, slightly longer, but like you say, it's more sheltered. And also, the average gradient is slightly less. The Angliru is harder than this, I feel, because although it's far longer, it's like 13 kilometers.
Yeah.
So you've got three more kilometers.
3 kilometers more.
But it's deceptive because you have 9% for the first section, and then you have a downhill flat section, which takes the average gradient down.
Yeah.
But that final ramp is, like you say, it's exposed. Yeah. It's really steep. There's a lot of wind.
It gets hard.
And there's a 25% wall, and for me that makes that harder.
So, Ollie, are you happy about the Zoncolan at the end? So you're happy to be here with rain and
Well,
snow?
this is the other thing. So it is dependable on other factors, like the weather. Look at this. Imagine racing up in this. It's brutal.
So epic.
But what I will give the Zoncolan the prize for is when the cloud does blow through and you get a gap in it, out of those three, for me, this is the most beautiful. So if you're going to ride just one of them, do the Zoncolan, because it's the prettiest.
Of course.
All right.
I have no words because I'm completely done, man.
Should we get a
Because
bottle
I'm
of
too
wine?
heavy to do this climb, and the final kick, I went full gas just to drop you, but I killed myself.
Thanks. Right, Sebs, you're right. Let's
Go down?
let's get some wine. I need wine.
Some wine?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
This is not your typical KOM attempt. Whose idea was it to KOM at freaking 3,500 metres? Suddenly, the scale of the place just sort of dawned on me how unforgiving it is. We are in the Himalayas, midway through the adventure of a lifetime, riding two of the finest gravel bikes on the planet, right through the heart of the mountain range in search of the forbidden kingdom of Low. The scale is incomprehensible to people riding on two wheels. Not even route planning apps like Komoot have much detail on the area, and on Strava there are just a handful of segments in a huge radius, but there is one that starts just over there and we want to claim it.
Well, we want to try and claim it, Si.
Over the previous 4 days, we tackled some of the most mind-blowing terrain on the planet. Starting in the hectic city streets of Kathmandu, we then rode through the Himalayan foothills until we reached the sacred Kali Gandaki River, which cuts through the mountains in what is the deepest gorge on Earth. At this point, the road pointed skywards, and we've been climbing almost relentlessly ever since.
The riding until now has been incredibly challenging and humbling, and it's only going to get a lot harder as we climb to over 4,000 meters in altitude.
That's right, so this segment is 18 kilometers long, an average gradient
of 5%. And the current record stands at 1 hour and 37 minutes. So this is not going to be a quick win, Hank.
This is definitely not an easy one.
But I don't think even the Twig is going to come and claim this one back.
Wouldn't put it past him, mate. Here goes nothing.
Should we start with the bleeps, Hank?
100. It's only right, isn't it?
Well, I mean, this part of the Himalayas probably hasn't seen the bleeps
No,
before,
definitely not.
or heard them.
You ready?
Okay, yep.
Beep, 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 beep.
Here we go!
Oh no, I'm a bit nervous about this if I'm honest, mate. Bloody hell, you started off quick. Downhill.
Both Hank and I have dropped our tyre pressures to the point where we're now having to go down hills a little bit steadily.
Yeah.
Because if we hit any rocks at speed, we're going straight to the rim. But then that's the beauty of running tubeless, big squishy gravel tyres. But this is still bumpy as anything, isn't it? You just want to try and smooth it out as much as possible.
What a climb, though. Yeah. You're going well, my man.
Thanks, buddy.
You're a machine.
Zone 2 training's paying off. Hank, can I hit you with some Nepali facts?
Well, you've teased me
I know.
for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Go on, mate.
So, Nepal has the world's highest mountain,
Yeah, Everest.
the world's highest lake, the world's deepest lake, and the world's deepest gorge, as you know.
Wow.
Also, common one, this one, Nepal has 8 of the world's top 10 highest mountains. So there's just 2 in Pakistan that break into the top 10. That's pretty impressive stat. Then, some quirky ones. So Nepal is the only country whose time zone is not on the hour or on the half hour from
I find
International
that
Standard
bizarre.
Time. Yeah. So we're 4 hours, 45 minutes ahead of UK time. And then, whilst the date is 2023 to us,
Yeah.
in Nepal, the date is 2080.
And that's because of the religion?
Yeah, that's the Hindu calendar. Speaking of which, Nepalis work a 6-day week. So Saturday is the day of rest.
Yeah.
Sunday is the first day of the week.
Wow.
But they do have 120 festivals where you can get a day off work. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone gets a day off on that festival.
100 days off, imagine.
No,
Back
so
holidays.
they're only relevant to different castes or different types of Hindus or Buddhists.
Yeah.
Nepal is the only country in the world whose flag is non-rectangular.
I love that one. That's a good stat.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? What an awesome fact. What an awesome flag to have, in fact. And
So
then-
unique.
Yeah.
As the kilometres ticked by, we began to separate. My desire to get a KOM had me digging deep, while Hank seemed rather more inclined to soak up the ambiance.
I've got to say, long climbs are definitely not my forte. And Sai has a big old engine. So I know if I try and stay with him, I'll go into the red. In an altitude, you don't want to go into the red. Otherwise you're never coming out of it. But you can just see from my breath, over 3,000 meters, you really start to feel it. So for me, I've got to pace my effort and not go hunting for it.
This is not your typical KOM attempt, or not for me anyway. There's the length of it for one. There's also the fact that we've ridden 400 kilometers to get here, hence why our bikes are festooned with bags. One of the challenges of the trip has actually been packing, because we've had everything from 38 degrees and high humidity to up here at altitude. It's like -5 in the mornings and the evenings. Fortunately, as you can see, we're well catered for when it comes to clothing. So Rab, who are a legendary outdoor kit manufacturer with a heritage of mountaineering, have just branched out into cycling clothing. So they've helped to make this trip happen. They're no strangers to the Himalayas. Goodness knows how many people have worn Rab clothing and used their equipment to get to the top of 8,000 meter peaks. But here we are, taking their kit to slightly less extreme altitudes, but feels pretty extreme to us. I think Hank might have the right idea for the pacing strategy. I think in typical Simon Richardson style, I've gone off way too hard. I'm actually wearing a heart rate monitor to try and stop me being too much of an idiot. But I'm just watching it climb and climb and climb. It's going up faster than our elevation, unfortunately.
It's f***ing horrendous. I f***ing hate climbs the best times. I'd rather walk up it and enjoy it. But when Si sees a KOM, he's like a dog on heat.
As Hank said, this journey has been incredibly humbling. We came here having done loads of research. We're extremely experienced bike riders. We're not totally out of shape, but yet even so, it's been so challenging. The road riding, we were told not to ride from Kathmandu to Pokhara, but we thought we'd give it a go. And it was great, but you can see why people would warn us off. You have to go at the same speed as the buses, otherwise it gets pretty hairy. It's basically like being back in a bike race. And then when the roads ran out, we're sharing these dirt tracks with all the buses, all the trade. And these are people going about their daily business on roads we could barely get past. And then even up here, like, you're tootling along and you have a look over the edge and there's a 1,000-meter drop. You just think, life here is so extreme. And here we are, cruising through on gravel bikes. But I think it's good for the soul. And it's an incredible experience.
Whose idea was it to do a KOM at freaking 3,500 meters? My back size cruising.
I can see Hank. I think he's gaining on me. He's quite hard to pick out in his very cool olive green outfit. The Nepalese have nicknamed him Lowry because he looks like a British Gurkha. And he absolutely loves it, as you can probably tell by the massive knife on the back of his bike. Can I just say though, I have never ridden my bike in a place like this. I've never been anywhere close to a place like this. I realise when I'm on my own and there isn't a camera, I'm incredibly inarticulate when it comes to expressing my emotions. Every time I come around a corner, I just swear. That's my default. and occasionally. But it kind of sums it up. You get the idea, huh? I'm absolutely hanging. I just had to stop and put gloves on because it's so cold. I can barely turn the pedals. I think I'm getting close to the top, but I'm not sure. The trouble is, there's been a lot of road building up here. As you can see, this thing's incredible. And so actually, it's not matching up to what's on my Wahoo. But I think we must be getting close.
Heart rate, it seems to not be registering, which isn't a good sign. Sake! Why do I have to do this? Why can't I just enjoy it? Why do I have to be competitive? We've had to take a lot of kit, which I have to say, doesn't make things easy. Current KOM holder. Did it in 1 minute 38, 1 hour 38. I hope Si's got it, because I definitely haven't. Corey Wallace is a Canadian cross-country mountain biker. Comes out to Nepal to train at the altitudes, and I can see why. I mean, I've got to say, just getting up this is a feat by anyone's imagination. I mean, look at where we are. We're in the frickin' Himalayas.
Oh my days. Oh, that went from a KOM attempt to survival. 4,000 meters. Oh, what an incredible climb. Oh, I've got no idea whether I've got the KOM. I'm not sure I really care at this point. Okay! Woo! You did it, buddy!
Sake. There's no need for that.
I've broken Hank! I've broken him! Ladies and gentlemen, it's a first for GCN! Right, mate.
You Did you get it? I think you got the KOM, you know.
Bloody hope so.
Yeah. Why would we have to do a KOM up that climb?
The guys have said that they didn't quite catch the last 3K, so if we could just pop down again.
Body double. Otherwise, I'll take my gherkin knife, cut my leg off.
That bad. That was an epic climb, didn't it? But I don't know about you, mate. I feel like I'm on top of the world, even though I'm surrounded by peaks that are clearly a lot higher. in cycling terms, this is about...
It's about as high as it gets, mate, if I'm
is, isn't
honest. I've got to say, that climb was absolutely brutal. I mean, climbing altitude for one, and on rough terrain. But, I mean, look at where we are. So to get rewarded with that is quite something. And
we've got a descent to come, big descent to come, and I can just see a completely different landscape opening up again.
Incredible,
just
really.
Ever-changing, isn't it? Can you remember what we were told about prayer flags back in Kathmandu?
Yeah.
Go on, hit me with it.
Well, they each represent different things. So the green one's earth, the yellow one's sun, the blue one's ocean, the white one's the sky, and the red one's the fire.
Yeah, 5 elements, wasn't it?
5 elements.
There you go. I'd never known that about prayer flags, but there we go. That explains it. The 5 elements.
And they're beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah, and apparently the higher up they are, the closer to... How is it? God? Or is it Nirvana? Heaven. Yeah, the closer to heaven it is. There you go.
So we're pretty close now. Yeah!
Would you whoop at heaven, at Nirvana?
You know, you got to whoop everything.
I'm about to have a Snickers. That's about as close as I'm going to get to Nirvana right now. Tell you what, I'm glad to see you. There's something really unnerving about being out there, being on the limit. I just completely hit the wall. I've run out of food, pretty out of water. Suddenly, the scale of the place just sort of dawned on me how unforgiving it is. And now that we're losing the light as well, I'm conscious that I've got to get to our tea house for the night. But hopefully it's all downhill from here. Hopefully Hank's run me a hot bath. Should you do that?
After 2 savagely rough descents and another 10-kilometre climb, we finally reached our destination for the day, the remote village of Gami. As daylight faded, the temperature dropped to well below freezing, and I was paying for my efforts up the KOM. Hank, it turned out, had not broken. I had, and he patiently waited half an hour for me to finally arrive after the toughest 70 kilometres of our lives. We both had to wait a little longer for our results, though.
We've come down off the mountain in order to get some Wi-Fi to find out our results.
Yeah, what do you think we start with, Hank? The good news or the bad news?
Well, let's start off with the good news.
Okay, so the good news...
Yeah, come on.
Did it in 1 hour, 31 minutes, which means we smashed the KOM by 6 minutes! Take that, Corey!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bad news?
Well, so the road, it would appear, has changed so significantly since that Strava segment was created that actually it didn't recognise that we did the Strava segment.
Right.
Yeah, so I made a new one.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Come and get it, Andrew Feather. The bad news is that, unfortunately, we don't have a KOM on that either.
What?
But I did a little bit of research, and I think the 4 people that have gone faster all did it on motorbikes because they went at an average speed of 25 km/h plus.
Which is not possible.
I don't think it's possible.
No. Are you going to flag them?
No. I don't feel like it'd be in the spirit of our overall journey to go and start flagging stuff.
No, it's not our place, is it?
No.
We're visitors.
It's not. So we have tried to come com hunting in the Himalayas, and we failed.
Yeah.
But what an adventure it has been. I've got to say a huge thank you to 3D, haven't we?
These Exploro Race Max Italias, handmade for us in Italy, and we have utterly abused them, haven't we?
We have. I mean, I've gone down descents at 60k an hour on pretty rough terrain. So I've got a massive thank you to 3T for enabling us to do this.
That's right, they have not missed a beat. So once again, another GCN adventure has been made possible by them. So yeah, thank you very much.
We're here in Taiwan to take on the longest, hardest and highest hill climb race in the world, the Taiwan KOM Challenge. 83 kilometers uphill from sea level to 3,275 meters. That is nearly 11,000 feet higher than the highest mountain in Germany, nearly a kilometre higher than the highest point of the Tour de France this year. And that's the thing, at that kind of altitude, most of us lose 30% of the power that we can produce, meaning, well, unless you're a Sherpa. I'm really excited to give this incredible event a go. Ever since I saw Si and Matt ride it back in 2017, I've wanted to come here and have a go for myself. That year, Vincenzo Nibali and Emma Pooley won it, and the race attracts top-level pros as well as amateurs. This year, we've got Simon Yates. Today is the day before the race. I've got my bike here that I'm going to be riding on. It's this sweet Trigon AR01. Big thanks to Trigon for the frame, but also Rotor for the power meter and Elite wheels, because it's through their support that we've actually been able to come out here and make a video, because it requires like quite a bit of resource for us to do that. So big thanks to all those guys. I've got a full rundown on the tech channel of my setup and some other weight saving mods that I've made to this bike to keep the weight down and make it as light as possible. Spoiler alert, it's not much. But if you want to find out exactly how much, got to head over to the tech channel, haven't you? I'm super excited to ride this event, not just because riding up mountains and like that's my favourite thing, but also because Taiwan is absolutely mega. I feel it's not on a lot of cyclists' radar, but like there's tropical forests here and an incredible coastline and these huge mountains and gorges and just so much cool wildlife and nature that I'm just not used to. It's like nowhere else I've ever ridden my bike before, and I just, yeah, I feel like I'm in Jurassic Park. Got my number, 384, and I've signed on. Gonna have a briefing now. Just been getting my kit ready for tomorrow because it's a proper early start. So the race starts at 6 AM. I've got some strategies, right? So I've got beta fuel. I'm gonna put one of those in each of my bottles. That's 80 grams of carbs in each bottle. And then I've got beta fuel jellies, because I really like those, 40 grams in each of those. So I'll just put those in my pocket, and that will help me sort of have around 120 grams of carbs an hour. Because of the sweat though, and the electrolytes, I've got the old isotonic gel. And well, when it gets really hard at the end, little caffeine hit, caffeine gel. Also thinking about pacing, a bit of a tricky one this, so I'm glad I've got the Rotor power meter, because that's going to be crucial in pacing this event and sticking to within what I can do, because there is going to be a temptation to go off with the faster people at the start, although it's a hard one to weigh up, because on the one hand you don't want to overextend yourself so that you're screwed at the end of the race, but there is a big drafting benefit, I've been told, in the earlier half of the race. So it's kind of weighing up how hard you go to get the draft benefit versus when you drop off and just go at your own pace. Guess I'm just going to have to find out and wing it. Right, better get some sleep. It's about 5:30 in the morning. The race sets off at 6 o'clock, and there's about 1,000 people doing it today. Massive. I feel a little bit nervous. It's going to be by far the biggest climb I've ever done in my entire life.
The route starts in the coastal town of Hualien on the east coast of the island. The opening 20 kilometres is flat along the coastline and is neutralised before the official timing and the climb begins. In this section, I was concentrating on maintaining position at the front of a massive peloton and watching out for other riders, as there was a bit of a washing machine effect.
Just coming to the end of the neutralised section. About 32k in now, and we've started the ascent, and the pace has ramped up quite a bit. I'd imagine a fair few have probably fallen off now, but yeah, they say it's not as fast as previous years though. Whew. Still a long way to go, and it's so humid in this gorge. But this gorge is absolutely stunning. There's granite and marble cliffs, and it's a geography teacher's dream. There's Simon Yates just there. This is the front of the race. No idea what's going on behind, but I think this is going to push on and get quite tasty soon, at which point I'll probably do my own thing. We're about 50k in now. How amazing is this? It's just unbelievable. I've never ridden anywhere like this. It's in this jungle and forest. So beautiful. But just had the first feed stop, and then Simon Yates danced off up the climb with a select group. I've rather than try and stick with that pace, considering everyone says the last 10k is the hardest, I'm riding at my own pace.
I felt like I could have ridden really hard and just about stayed with the leaders, but I was worried that I would have overextended myself and I'd pay for it later on. We still had 40 kilometres to go. Fortunately, I found myself in the second group on the road, and there were some strong guys that I could draft behind.
One of the locals was telling me that there's trees up here that are 3,000 years old, which is nuts. I mean, that's older than Jesus and the Romans. Crazy.
The scenery was changing from the dramatic Taroko Gorge now to lush forest and mountains. I was making a big effort to ride within myself, around 260 watts, because everyone I'd spoken to had said the same thing. The last 10k is the hardest. A max gradient of 27%, an altitude over 3,000 meters. I was determined to save something. Just before you reach the final 10k, there's actually a little 3k reprieve downhill, and then the final test begins.
Just done a little descent, and we just come off that, which tells me now we've got about 15k to the finish, and still got loads of climbing to do, over 1,000 meters. Really feel the altitude now. I'm only doing 240 watts, but I'm blowing. Got 6.5k to go. Come on.
I was struggling for air, but my pacing strategy did seem to be working in that I was slowly catching and passing people. In my head, I'd set myself a target of sub 4 hours, and looking at my Wahoo, it was going to be right to the wire.
Over 3,000 meters here, 3.5k to go. The altitude is something else. You know, I'm only doing 220 watts right now, and it feels like I'm doing threshold.
The final section sees the scenery change again as you go above the tree line. It is truly spectacular here.
Last K.
Good job. Good job, sir.
Hey. Oh, that was horrendous. Oh, oh, so hard. Like, you're pacing it and you're taking it easy, like for the first sort of 3 hours, and you think, yes, it's going to be all right. I'm going to be able to really push on. And then you get to the sort of 3,000 meters, and it's steep, so steep, and just the altitude makes it really hard. But I would say, if you fancy coming and having a go at this, like, absolutely do it. We've got the finish line behind us, although the cloud's coming in now. What an amazing event that was. I had such a good time, but it was really hard, especially that last 10k. When you get to sort of above 2,800 meters up to the top here, it is so hard, but yeah, just put it on your cycling bucket list. You've got to experience it and give it a go. It's a phenomenal event, and I managed to get the results, so I'm really pleased with this. I've managed to come 27th overall out of about 1,000 people, and most importantly, I got under 4 hours, which people say is good, and did 3:56, and this is the important part, is quicker than Sai, who did it in 4 hours 11 minutes. Yes! So if you've enjoyed this video and enjoyed watching me suffer at high altitude, then please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends if you've got any. And a big thanks to Trigon for the awesome AR1 bike and Elite wheels, and for the rotor power meter. Never skipped a beat, all absolutely spot on. Whew, right, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna go over to Taipei and eat some stinky tofu. Bye. Come on! Come on! You got it! Go on, mate! Oh, that's slippy! Oh.
Mate, I thought you were gone. We're on a mission to find the steepest climb that you can ride up on a bike. Roads? Pfft, completed them, mate. We had to look elsewhere, so next we turned to an epic rock slab at 74%. But we conquered that too, and so now we're on our way to a purpose-built slab we've heard about that is 1-in-1, 45 degrees or 100%. And we've also brought our test pilot, Chris Smith from our sister channel EMBN, the Electric Mountain Bike Network. As a man who can backflip a bike and willingly launches himself off cliffs, he's cut from a different cloth to, well, me. Basically, if Chris survives, I'll give it a try. And if he doesn't, well, hopefully we'll have it on camera. As I see it, there are three main issues with climbing impossible climbs. Firstly, grip. Can you get enough traction in the back wheel in order to keep yourself moving forwards? And then secondly, can you get enough weight over the front of the bike to stop the front wheel lifting and you flying out the back door? And then thirdly, power. It's hard enough walking up steep gradients, but how much power are you going to need to generate to keep yourself moving on two wheels up something that steep? Now, actually thinking about it, there's a fourth thing as well, isn't there? Danger. Not something you usually associate with climbing up hills on a bike, but something that steep, if you have a problem near the top, you ain't stopping until you hit the bottom. For this challenge, we have brought, once again, our Kona gravel bike duo. So this is the Libre CR-DL. It is a light, fast, carbon frame gravel bike, but coming as it does from a brand that has mountain biking in its DNA, it's got quite a playful vibe compared to most other gravel bikes. I mean, it comes with a dropper post as standard, not for helping old people get on and off, but for helping you get rowdy. However, like all gravel bikes, it's designed to go up climbs of a certain gradient, but not impossible ones, which is why we've brought its sibling. This is the Libre EL. So built on similar principles to the analog version, designed for adventure. It'll take you where you want to go on any surface, and it'll take you there for as long as you want to go for. There's enough mounting points to carry the kitchen sink. I mean, literally, you could put one on a panny rack if you were so inclined. Crucially though, what's going to make the difference here is that motor at the bottom bracket. That's a Shimano E7000 steps motor. It'll give us over 500 watts of peak power and 60 Newton meters of torque. So that plus rider, you're looking at probably about 1300 watts, which is going to come in very handy for scaling a wall. Finding stupidly steep rock slopes is not easy, so we've come to a secret facility that was purpose-built to test military vehicles to their limits, and which has two slabs we can try and ride, both of which will push us beyond the limits of anything we've done before. The 1-in-1, and then the marginally less fierce nursery slope. Whoa!
Oh my God.
That is the nursery slope.
No, that doesn't look too nursery to me, Si.
But it's not much of a nursery slope, is it? In terms of gradient, this is even steeper than the slab. So if we manage this...
Well, we're going to be raising the bar once again, I suppose.
That's right, this will be the steepest ever ascent. And I don't think we can raise the bar much more, because the
balance point, you're nearly looping out just stood on it.
Yeah. And whereas the slab was one beautiful piece of pristine limestone. I mean, what even is this, Chris?
This is man-made, but it's obviously, I think it's kind of like a sandstone concrete base, but it is man-made. But actually, I think this is going to offer less grip because you've got like hard pack flint, which has been polished by Land Rover tyres, rubber, wet flint. You do the maths, it's not going to give you grip, is it?
No. No. So we're going to warm up gently on something that's mildly terrifying.
And something that isn't inspiring me is look at these Land Rover slide marks where they've been wheel spinning trying to get up it. This is going to be next level, so I think.
This is next level. Okay. You go first, right, Chris?
Oh, as always. Right, so I'm not going to lie, a little bit nervous about this. The conditions today aren't really the one, but...
Go on, mate, you got this.
Better turn the bike on, it always helps. Is this correct on the drops?
Yeah?
I'd go on the drops rather than the hoods, but yeah, no.
Oh, don't know about that. Feel a bit more in control. Right, let's get it then. You ready?
I'm ready.
Am I ready? That's the thing. Whoa. Oh my God. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, that's slippy. Whoa, that caught me out. It's actually surprisingly slippy. I don't know what pressure these are at. Did you got your accurate tyre pressure gauge in your fingers?
Oh, crikey, there's not much in that already, mate. You can drop some out?
Yeah, just a couple of PSI on that. Maybe we'll swap lanes. There's a lot of sand. See where the sand is all washed down?
There is a lot of sand.
And with these semi-slicks, it really picks up in the centre of the tread. So I think we'll swap lanes as well. I think that right-hand track is more polished.
It looks drier.
Yeah, drier, and maybe a bit more smoother. So attempt number 2.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Go on, Chris. You got this, mate. That back tyre's looking good.
I just caught the edge of that track there.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Mate, I thought you were gone.
literally balls on the top tube here.
Well, I have.
I'm all right, I think I got it. Woo. Oh my God. Whoa. Right. That is slidey. Third time a charm, is that what they say?
Yeah. Well, look, the vultures are circling.
I'm ready to pick the meat off my body.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Right. Let's get it this time. Stay on that line.
Go for it, mate. Come on.
Come
You
on.
got this. Go on, Chris.
Oh, God.
You got this,
Front
mate.
wheel is
Go on.
lifting
Come
off
on.
the floor.
Come on, mate. You got it. Come on, mate. You got it. Yes.
Yeah.
What? Yes. He nailed it. Brilliant. We can go home now. Job done. Right, any last tips?
I think the biggest thing is to have confidence in that rear tyre, because as you saw, our wheel spun a couple of times and saw me come down pretty quick. But if you just think grip, 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 and just really feel that grip like we did
On the slab.
on the slab, you know, if you're kind of expecting a wheel spin, it will happen, but
Yeah.
it's not, because you've got that receptor, 17.2 PSI, and that's what it's all about.
Imagine that I've got grip and it will happen.
Exactly. Wise words. Never doubt your kit, Si. Go on, Si.
Okay.
You got it. Think grip, grip, grip. That.
Hang on a minute. There was no way that was full power. Okay.
Right, come on. Go, 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 go. Oh, a little bubble. He's got it. Go on, Si, you got it. Nice. Look at the power of the guy. Come on! Come on! Come on! Yes!
Yes!
Nice! Wow, did it. Easy as that, look. Doubted his skills, but he had the grip, he's got the power. Creamed it.
Oh my goodness me, that was every bit as hard as the slab.
That's crazy. But you can ride down this one.
That was
scary.
really scary.
Did you find the gearing? Like when I went up, I found like I was almost running out of gearing.
Well, yeah, it's on the slab. I don't remember feeling overgeared.
Yeah.
But on this, I mean, I suppose that's because it's steeper, right?
Yeah, pushing.
And so that.
The lift of the front wheel, we're combining with like feeling the grip. That's the scary stuff. Like I had a couple of little tiny, I don't know if your front wheel come off the ground a few times. Yeah.
With this gradient completed and the bar now set higher or steeper than ever, we headed over to the other side of the facility to tackle the 1-in-1. It lay in a shaded north-facing spot, looking to all the world like a cliff.
Here we go, mate.
Are you actually kidding me?
That actually looks vertical, doesn't it?
I'd like to say if it was wider, you could, but how narrow you've got to play with, I'm not sure about this one.
Like now I'm on it,
Yeah.
and I'm not sliding back down at the moment. I feel like it's
maybe not quite as bad as I first thought. So I'm quite happy for you to try it.
Quite happy for me to try it.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy for you to try it too.
No, I'm all right.
I think on the gravel bike you'll be lucky to go above that cement, and then you're in up there because you are. If you slide there, you're sliding. You're coming down to the bottom.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop on that.
You think we found the limit, Chris?
Just pushed it that a little bit. Yeah, just slightly over. I can see it. It's just prime conditions, prime setup, definitely. But this is just. That's without taking a bike on it. I'm just from my experience.
Having checked it out from the bottom and unable to climb it on foot, we walked around to the top for a different perspective.
I still actually can't see the slope from here.
Not even on tiptoes, and this green slippy moss isn't giving me the most inspiring grip either. But whoa, that is steep.
That is steep.
Almost impossible, I'd like to say. I think we raised the bar on that one, but this is a step just a little bit too far.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it's possible to ride up something that steep. We were on the limits of traction, we were on the limits of gearing, we were on the limits of being able to keep the front wheel down, and I reckon another, what's that, another 5 degrees.
That's 45 degrees, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
5 degrees.
Yeah.
So the sweet spot, the limit is somewhere between, what, like 37 and, what, 35 and 40 degrees?
I reckon you're bang on there, yeah. I think maybe with adjustment of gearing, swapping tyres out, bar height, those little things you could possibly tweak, you might be able to change that just a few degrees, but that currently is way out the park.
What I'm pretty sure you could do though is ride down there.
Oh,
I think
I knew you'd want me to get 2 wheels on it in a way.
I think we'd all like to see that, wouldn't we? Yeah. The viewers have spoken, Chris. They want to see you ride down it.
On a gravel bike with semi-slick tyres. Oh, here we go then.
All right, well, fair play for riding down it, mate.
Cheers, it's pretty sketchy.
Yeah, I can't get over it. I mean, it is just an absolute wall. There's part of me that still feels like we could try it, but the trouble is, there's no way of bailing out once you're up there.
As I say, I think we could get probably halfway up this thing, but as soon as you get there, you're going to run out of grip, you're probably going to run out of forward speed momentum, and then it's just going to be a one-way ticket back down the hill.
It is, isn't it?
And it's going to be ugly as well, rolling back down there.
I guess, Chris, we've got to make a call, haven't we?
Yeah.
Have we found the limit of what is possible on a bike, or is there unfinished business?
I think there's unfinished business, but it's somewhere between this and that slope that we rode today. I think there is that one out there, and we'd love to hear from you guys if you know of any slopes that potentially we could ride that are legal. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
That's right, yeah. Let us know in the comment section, and whether or not you think it's possible to go steeper than 37 degrees. So what's that, like 80%?
Yeah. Any modifications we could do on our bikes too to help us do these challenges would be helpful as well, so get involved with those.
Yeah, and then otherwise, big thumbs up, Chris. Thanks, mate. Oh, there's no way I would have tackled that had you not done it first.
It's been another epic day out. Cheers for that, side.
It has, yeah. Cheers, mate. Let's go get a cup of tea.
Let's do it.
And again, it's just another 25% sustained wall. I mean, that there is like 40%. Oh, more cobbles. Dang. Dang, how long does this bit go? We're on a hunt for the hardest climb in the world, the most savagely steep, unrelenting track that you can ride a bike up on planet Earth. And we have a new contender. Behind me here is the Pozzo San Gilcente dos Dalasina. I probably didn't pronounce that right. So here is Alan from GCN Italia.
Pozzo San Gilcente dos dell'Asino.
Oh, beautiful. You can really hear the music in it, can't you? Anyhow, this 8.6 kilometre bastard is said to be so steep and so terrifying that people say it's even harder than the Scanupia we visited last year. Only one way to find out.
Previously on GCN, the Scanupia, 7 kilometers long, averaging 18%, with maximum gradients of 45. This climb is so steep, Ollie failed to ride all the way up without unclipping. Andrew Feather took the KOM.
However, as mentioned, we may have found another. This is the Glicenti. At the bottom of it, right here, starts by this rather noisy main road and then just comes up as an innocuous little track. We're going to find out just how hard it is, but this climb is so hard that only 16 people have completed it, according to Strava. I'm guessing there were probably others, but, well, they probably died. On paper, this climb looks absolutely horrific. So the stats are that it's 9.6 kilometers long, averaging 15%, with a maximum of 40%, which isn't quite as high as the maximum of 45 on Scanupia, but it doesn't tell the whole story because this is really narrow and there's a 4.5 kilometer section in the middle, which averages 22%. So that section is likely to take between 35 and 40 minutes. Just imagine that, 40 minutes at 22%. Let me just let that sink in. I mean, to a cyclist, that's even scarier than being chased on Halloween by a T-Rex through a graveyard with rabies. Terrifying. Well, I guess I better get going then and try it for myself. I mean, fortunately, I've got a specially modified bike to help me with the except I haven't. I've just got a normal road bike. Let's see what happens. Right, I'm not even going to beat. There's no point. All right, bye. Wish me luck. This first kilometre, the surface is, well, still pretty good. It's like a road, but it's like 15% average. And you've got these horrible grates that just swallow your front wheel on a road, right? So I'm having to be quite careful, but I'm just trying to conserve energy because I know it's going to get tougher. Conserving energy on 15%.
The Canyon Ultimate I'm riding is a top-of-the-range road bike, fit for the Tour de France. However, there are no climbs in the Tour as tough or as steep as this.
It's 25% here on those cobbles. We're 2.5k in. Oh my God, of nearly 10. This surface is so hard. I mean, this is basically cobbles, 25%. It's backbreaking. I can get going again on this bit. Oh, my back is on fire. Oh God, this is horrendous. I don't know how far we've gone because my Wahoo keeps auto-pausing, so the distance isn't reading properly, but in terms of ascent, we're a third of the way in. Look at that. So, as good as a bike this is, you know, it's 6.8 kilos, it's just not the bike for the job. I mean, that there is like 40%, and I'm just like, do not have the gears, like, and then the surface is so rough, like you can't weave across the road and use the gradient, take the sting out. You have to just stick in a narrow lane, and like it's so rough. I mean, this looks like it was last tarmacked in Roman times. Like, yeah, it's just need a more specialist bike. We didn't come to do this climb. We heard about it and thought, oh, let's go check it out. And that's why I don't have a bike that's, I'm gonna try more. Hang on, let's see if we can go again. About halfway up, and this beggars belief, but they're building a house here. There's a house there, and there's a house there. Can you imagine if this was your commute home? tough day at the office. It's all right, I'll get the old commuter out with the panniers on it and just... I bet the land was cheap. Can't think why. Unbelievable. Right. Can't you film the bits where I pedal? I mean, I'm rubbish, but I'm not this rubbish. What is the gradient here? 27. 27. Tell you what, it's a cleat killer, this one. Trying to look where I can start going again. Oh, more cobbles. Dang. Struggling for traction on a lot of this now. Under the trees, there's lots of leaf litter on the roads. My back wheel keeps spinning, which is not what you want. So, we're like 7K in now, and again, it's just another 25% sustained wall. It's been like this for like about 1.5 kilometers. And to put this in perspective, Scanupia is 7K long, well 7.4. So Scanupia would be done now. But this, 3 more kilometers of this. Look at this bit. So I'm gonna try and get going again here. I mean, also how ridiculously hard this climb is. I've got the GCN camera crew, and they're on e-bikes because you can't take motorbikes or cars up here. It's just too difficult. And their e-bike batteries are running out even though they were full, and we've only gone 7K. Sake, how long does this bit go?
Having done some further research, the stats I mentioned at the start of the video might have been a bit off. Other sources say that this climb is 10 kilometers at 18% average, with 4.5 kilometers at 22.8%. Absolutely savage. The final kilometer isn't as steep as what preceded it, but you're not out of the woods. What it lacks in gradient, it more than makes up for with slippery cobbles.
That's the sign. Oh my God. That is without doubt the hardest climb I've done. So, not as steep in like absolute max gradient as Scanupia, but so much longer in that like middle section on this that's like 4.5 kilometers at 22%. There's like sustained walls at over 30% on that. And it's just unrelenting in that middle section. It's like nothing else. And I think, I've kind of a bit lost for words here. I want to come back here and do this again on a bike that is far more suited to the task. So, I've got an idea, right? If you've enjoyed this and you want to see us come back, then give this video a like, because if we get 10,000 likes, then I'll bring Feather back here. But I'll put Feather on his normal road bike, and I'll go up it on some kind of adapted bike with far easier gearing, because I think it will be a really good demonstration of how important gearing is. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this, seeing this ridiculous climb. It's very peaceful and stunning up here. But yeah, give it a like I said, share it with your friends. I'll see you in the next one. I'm actually really worried about going down this now. I think I'm going to be walking a lot of the way. Bye.
No rest for the wicked. Oh my days!
Riding my bike in Colombia has been a dream for a long time, and recently I was lucky enough to finally make that trip for 2 weeks of filming for GCN. So seeing as I was in the neighbourhood, with a day to spare, I could not resist the chance to try and ride up one of the world's longest and most mythical climbs, the 81-kilometre Alto de Letras. Yes, 81 kilometres. But it starts right here in the beautiful town of Mariquita, which sits at 468 metres of elevation. The summit, meanwhile, is 3,663 metres. To ride it all in one go means starting in this subtropical paradise with 30-degree temperatures and high humidity, and ending up, in all likelihood, in extremely cold and potentially very rainy conditions on the summit. So what that means is my jersey pockets are as full of clothing as they are of food, and there is an awful lot of that in there as well, because it's going to be a long day out. To put it in perspective, of course, to ride up and down this hill is going to be a century. So it's going to be pretty epic, and I better finish off my coffee, which professional cycling aficionados should note comes in a Café de Colombia cup. And incidentally, actually, the coffee inside it could have come from these very hillsides, because Mariquita actually sits at the southern point in Colombia's famous coffee production triangle. This area is blessed with many mountains. Colombia sits at the northern end of the mighty Andes, although here they're actually split into 3 distinct ranges. The westernmost, Cordillera Occidental, the eastern, Cordillera Oriental, and the Cordillera Central in the centre, which is where we are now. While not boasting the honour of having the highest peak in the country, the Cordillera Central does have more high mountains than its neighbours. And in fact, the lowest pass over it is still 3,299 metres. It is a paradise for cycling, and no wonder so many of the world's best call Colombia their home. The list of big-name riders is seemingly endless, topped, of course, by none other than Tour de France winner Egan Bernal. But Mariquita has its own World Tour Pro now as well. Yes, Andre Ardila, who started this year for UAE Team Emirates in his first year as a pro, having won the Baby Giro last year. So he's one to watch as well. Now, the success, you think, perhaps down to the immense popularity of cycling as a sport here in Colombia. It could perhaps be down to the altitude that many of the riders live and train and indeed grew up at, although not Ardila, because we're just at 500 metres, remember. And so for him and many others, perhaps it's the access to these near endless climbs. Bam! There is no getting away from it. The gradient starts as soon as you leave Mariquita. Go to my Wahoo, it came in at 10%. Fortunately, it's eased back just a shade now, but clearly Alto de Letras means business. And in the back of my head, I just can't help but think
How do you pace an 80-kilometer long climb? Clearly, steadily would be the sensible answer, but then not exactly what I'm best at. I do want to emulate some of the Colombian climbing greats, albeit for 10 pedal revolutions. Now, before we get too far up this climb, let's talk about climbing speed, shall we? So the fastest recorded time on Strava is by a guy called Didier Chaparro, who's a Colombian pro, weighing in at just 54 kilos. He rocketed up here in 3 hours and 4 minutes, which is an average speed of 26 kilometers per hour. Phil Gaiman, meanwhile, could only manage 3 hours 20. So I'm hoping to be somewhere between the two. No, who am I kidding? Haven't had that much acclimatization time. And also, I'm running Vision Metron 55s as opposed to the shallower, slightly lighter 40s. So that's probably going to make a difference. But only those two things. But it's all academic anyway, because everyone looks slow compared to Santiago Botero, who has the unofficial record up here. He did 2 hours 50 in the Vuelta a Colombia back in 2007, which he then went on to win. Chapeau, Santiago. So it turns out I didn't need quite so much ride food as I thought. Roadside fruit stand. This, a mini banana you might think, is a bocadillo. And it is insanely good. Well, we've got a bit of respite from the climbing as we go through the little town of Fresno. Got to be said, it's quite a busy road, this one, unsurprising given that it's one of only 2 paved passes over the Cordillera Central. There's 2 more, but they're dirt, so you can't imagine much of this traffic going over those ones. But, cool little place. No rest for the wicked. Now I hope you notice I'm keeping it in the big ring for this bit, just to try and impress everyone, make them think that I'm actually Egan Bernal, seeing I'm riding his bike, or at least one like it. One of the incredible things about riding up a climb this long is seeing the vegetation change. Like, you might be used to 1 or 2, but we've already left subtropical behind. We're in amongst the coffee plantations and pasture land up here, and I think it's going to be the first of a few, judging by the fact that we've still got 2,000 meters left to climb. The air's cooler, much cooler. Nice trade-off for the fact that oxygen is becoming scarcer. But we're good. I think I'm making good progress. Not exactly an escarabajo. We're doing all right. I'm going to take a moment to freewheel. Oh my days! I've been paying close attention to the altitude on my Wahoo. It's not been particularly inspiring so far, given there are so many meters still to climb, but we have just ticks past quite an important milestone in that we've just gone through the equivalent height of Alto, probably the most famous climb in the Tour de France, and one that was once claimed as being far too short by Lucho Herrera, who was the first Colombian to ever win a Grand Tour. He took the Vuelta a España in 1987, and he was part of that first generation of Colombian pros to really make their mark in the cycling heartland of Europe. They were nicknamed Los Escarabajos, or Beetles, because of their climbing style that you'd think was honed on roads just like this one. Unfortunately, the generation that succeeded Herrera's didn't make quite such an impact in Europe. That was partly because there were no big Colombian pro teams, so the Café de Colombia team that we nodded to earlier on closed its doors, as all pro cycling teams inevitably end up doing, and none, unfortunately, filled its shoes. Plus, a lot of people say that the rise of EPO in pro cycling effectively wiped out that natural advantage that Colombians have from living and training at altitude. Just had a last little bit of downhill. There's kind of 3 points at which the climb does actually stop and you get a little bit of respite, and it's very, very welcome. Whether or not it's cheating to classify as an 8k climb, if you got 3 descents in it, I don't know. They're blooming short, if that helps you make your mind up. Just ticking past the height of the Stelvio, which is nice, but I still got 20 kilometers to go and 1,000 meters of elevation gain. This is a fantastic stretch of road. It's like 4%, so it makes me feel like I'm going really fast, even though it's not actually very uphill, but good for morale. Last lap, I think. So at this point you start really hoping that you can trust the numbers. I got just under 80k on the clock. I'm absolutely hanging. I think I've been spending a few days at altitude. It's made a big difference. I feel a heck of a lot better than I did at the Taiwan KRM Challenge 2.5 years ago. I'm definitely not as fit as I was. You can see the vegetation changing again. It feels like high up here, doesn't it? The scenery is just epic. Santiago Botero's time is just gone. 2 hours 50 minutes elapsed. Just a couple of K shy of the summit. Yeah, no, unfortunately that's not quite true. And Phil Guyman's time might have gone as well. Shouldn't have stopped for bananas, or miniature bananas. Bocadillo, which I'm sure means sandwiches. Anyway. I think I can see something resembling a top now. It's absolutely freezing up here. The top can't come soon enough. I feel that tingling, that telltale sign that I'm about to blow my doors. Hey, is this it? Come on, there it is. I think this might be it. Oh, my lungs are burning. They're working overtime. Nothing's coming in. The air's just so thin. I'm not quite. That truly is An epic climb. One of the absolute greats, I'm sure of it. I need an empanada and a cerveza. That truly is a bucket list climb. There's no other way of describing it. If, however, you are fortunate enough to come out here and do Alto de Letras, just bear in mind that it is a really busy road. So take care out there and, well, yeah, maybe stick some lights on your bike and stuff like that, because it's busy. There's a lot of lorries out there. But anyway, you will undoubtedly love it. And it's worth pointing out as well that I think Colombia has climbs that are far superior to this one even. Maybe not quite so long, but equally as beautiful, if not more so, and much, much quieter as well.
What would happen if we gave a current pro my £100 bike and then sent him up the steepest climb we can find?
Would he get up?
Me. God, my arms hurt.
How long will he take?
Oh my God. About 22% now.
Will the bike survive?
Oh no, disaster.
Or is it just as good as a super bike?
Today we're gonna find out.
Oh, he's gonna love it. Pro for today is Max Stedman. He rides for Beykos UCI Continental Team with 11 UCI wins to add to his palmarès. He weighs in at 54 kilograms, height 1.67 meters, and his age is just 28 years old. Speciality climber / GC rider. So yes, he can fly up a climb like a rat up a drain pipe. Oh.
The murderous climb we're using today is Draycott Hill. It is infamously steep. 1.93 kilometers long, it gains 221 meters of elevation with an average gradient of 11.4%. But right here in the middle, it hits pitches of 25%. Best time up it on Strava is Andrew Feather with a time of 6 minutes and 7 seconds. Max's best time, 6 minutes and 45. But what will he do it today on? And what bike actually? Hank, what bike is he using?
The bike I'm giving Max is my beautiful ANC Halfords replica Peugeot team bike. It's steel, weighs around about 12 kilos. The smallest gear on it is a 42-23. Is that going to be enough for that killer climb? It's got drilled out brake levers, it's got down tube shifting, and I have added a carbon bottle cage, 2 GoPros, a Wahoo bolt, and some PowerLink Zero pedals, because I want to know exactly how much power Max is going to have to do to get up the killer climb. To be honest, I love the look of this bike. Max, before we go, just let them know what they need to do.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, tell them what they need to do.
If you want to see more of me on the channel, like and subscribe.
Hit that like, subscribe right now. Right, let's get to it. Come on, mate. That's your bad collarbone. Max.
Yeah.
Are you ready to see your £100 bike?
Yes. Jesus.
I put mount.
Yeah.
For your Wahoo. Down tube shifting.
What gearing have we got here? This is what makes me most nervous. That is 23. Probably like 44, 23, I reckon.
That's all right, that.
What I always find hard.
That's light.
Oh shit! Did we actually bring some tools? Some tools. Well, I might have to buy some from the garden centre. Do you want to have a quick sit on it?
You said you were going to give it to me if I wrote it up here.
I'm not going to give it to you. Oh, it looks good on you, mate. Look at them little legs.
Saddle needs going down a bit. You just need a pair of pliers.
Jesus Christ, I do.
What's he got here then?
It's a garden centre, mate.
What the f have you bought? He's actually bought scissors.
Mate, that's not going to do anything, I swear. This is disgusting. Oh, no.
Absolutely horrible to watch. I'm wincing on so many levels. Because only an idiot would think to do this.
Jacob, let's just give this a...
Hold on, can you guys just eat your words? Because you just gave me so much shit.
This is actually too low now.
You actually like a hitter. How you feeling, Max?
I'm actually a little bit nervous because I train a lot up this climb and I know how hard it is.
What time do you reckon you'll do on this bike?
So my PB,
£100 bike.
My PB, and I haven't ridden up here hard in a while, PB 4 years ago in lockdown, 6 minutes, 45 seconds. But I am coming back from broken collarbone. If we can get sub 9 minutes, I'll be happy. I reckon near 8 minutes, but we'll see.
All right, enough chatting. We need to get it over and done with. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Time trial start.
Beep, 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 beep. Oh, he's off!
Getting the drop of the bike.
Come on, Max! Come on, Max! Let's go! Let's go! You got this, mate! Come on! Come on!
God, I feel like I'm in the Tour.
Come on! You're in the yellow jersey,
Wow, he's
man.
just told me we'll hit a climb. Of course. A lot of red on there. So the thing with this climb, you gotta pace it so that you got gas for the steep bit. Because if you hit the steep bit, probably won't make it up. You'll know when we hit the wall. We've caught Connor. I think he's realised how bad this climb is.
Right, I've made it up the climb to give Max a bit of a boost as he hits the steeper sections. This is where the climb really ramps. Come on, Max! Come on, you got this! Ale, 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 ale! Up, 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 up!
Now it just keeps ramping. And here we are. This is the worst bit, so I'm gonna shut up now. Oh my God. Right, this is it. The worst bit. About 22% now. Would love an extra gear, but we don't have it. Grinding away on the, oh no, disaster. Gear slipped. We're stuck in what I think is 42.19. But I'm going too slow to change. I'm just gonna have to get over. God, my arms hurt. 40 RPM, 350 watts. Flattens off here. Car's wheel spinning behind me. Oh no, we've gone down another gear. Oh, Jesus. Recover on this section a little bit now. Oh, Steepest again in a sec. Still got about 500 meters to go. Right, coming up, this is Feb's comp time, just gone. Right, my fastest time, just gone. Oh my God, this bike feels so slow. F me. Oh, actually, go down again. Almost there. Oh, we're there. Oh. Ah, Jesus.
Dude, unreal how you made it up there. How was it?
Yeah, grim. You know what? The thing with this bike, and the gears slipped, and that'll be seen in the video.
Yeah.
The thing with this bike is so heavy that, you know, if you get a lightweight carbon bike, you put 50 watts more down, you know, you move forward. With this, it just doesn't go, and you're just pedaling. You're right, mate.
Such a brutal climb.
Mate, you're on a freaking super bike. This is a £100 bike.
I'm 6'8". I nearly weigh 100 kilos.
What I find remarkable is I was actually half decent going uphill once, every now and again.
I mean, you got around the Vuelta and the Giro.
Anyway, Colin, it's actually unbelievable.
It's not
Anyway,
about
yeah,
you.
it's
We're
not
talking
about
about Max's effort. Yeah, go on.
Heart rate very high, in the 190s, I reckon.
And what power were you kind of looking at?
On the steepest bit, I was pushing like 400. And then I probably averaged like 350 up here.
And what are you weighing now?
55, 56 kilos.
That's outrageous. So let's tick off what we came here to do. Did you get close to your PB time?
I got closer than I thought I'd get, that's
Go
for
on.
sure. Within, my PB up here is 6 minutes 45. That was 4 years ago though, in lockdown.
In peak fitness?
In peak fitness, in the height of summer. Nice tailwind as well, probably.
With kind of shorts on.
Shorts,
not bib
yeah,
tights,
nice lightweight canyon I had at the time.
Beautiful.
So that was all good. Today, 8 minutes 10, which I think is pretty strong.
That's really decent, especially considering.
What do you mean that's pretty decent, mate? It took you half an hour to climb up here.
I'm saying it's decent for Max. I'm talking about my effort.
I'm a bit shocked. I always thought it was going to be slower.
That's outrageous. But it also shows that these bikes back then aren't actually that bad.
They're not terrible, you know. It felt a bit floppy. Like,
Yeah,
you know, the bottom bracket weaves around a bit, but actually, it was okay. Apart from the gears slipping. At one point, there was big panic. Just over the top of the steep bit, it dropped from the 19 again down to the 17. Oh no! Disaster.
Would you race on it?
Would I race on it?
If I got our audience to give it 100,000 views, would you take that to a pro race?
Not a pro race, but maybe I could do like Coombe Crit or something. Yeah, we could take Connor. As long as it's flat, it'll be sound, won't it?
Well, there it is, guys. Max, our resident pro, actually made it up the killer climb in just 1 minute 25 seconds, slower than his PB on a £100 bike. If you thought that was the case, then let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see Max on the channel again, then you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button. We'll see you next video.
What were we saying?
Yeah, what were you saying? If it gets
69,000
likes,
we'll take this bike to Turkey and ride it up the world's hardest climb of professional cycling. Babada.
Can I come too?
Yeah, you can come too.
You can come too, yeah.
And it'll be sunny there as well.
Yeah, thanks, man.
We need our chief mascot, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I love him. He's so good for morale.